Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's been a little while since I've done a video, but I thought I'd do one for you today. I've gotten a request from a Facebook friend to revisit my smoky eye, so that's what I'm going to do. And we'll go ahead and get started. Now actually I've already done some prep work. I've moisturized my face and I've got on my foundation. Today I am using Fashion Fair Cream to Powder Foundation. The color is Brown Blaze. Okay, and this is what it looks like. Oops, there you go. It starts out creamy, it dries to a powder finish. I apply this with a damp makeup sponge all over. And then under the eyes today, because I've got a little bit of a sinus infection going on and my eyes were a little dark, I've used this Perfect Finish Concealer palette from Fashion Fair. Take this off so you can see the colors. 3 colors, light, medium, and dark. And I did a mixture of the medium and the light and placed up under my eyes. Okay. Now that that's done, oh, and I've also done my brows, and what I used was basically pencil by Jordana, and the color is Coffee Bean, and then I set that using an angle brush and just a generic brown eyeshadow. That's what I did for the brows. Now to continue on, we're going to go ahead and get started on the eyes. Now, girls, for those of you that are combination or oily skin, a great trick to help control oil is after each step that you do, take a piece of tissue and gently blot your face after the product has had a chance to set in and blend with the skin. Now, I do this at least a couple of times before I finish my makeup. After I've put on my foundation, or I'm sorry, after I've put on my moisturizer and I've let that work into the skin for a couple minutes. But before I put on my foundation, I go in and use this trick. And then once again, after I've put on my foundation, and that's had a chance to work into the skin, I do this trick. It takes off excess product plus any oils that might be on the skin, and it just helps a little bit with that. You know, us oily girls, we have a problem with oil always coming through, so that's what I do to help control. Now I'm going to prime my lid with my MAC paint pot in the color Painterly. It's a nude color. And again, I'm just using a generic brush to put this on with. Particularly, again, for oily complexions, it's very, very important to prime the lid. It helps to keep oil from coming through and creasing the makeup. Also, if you have any discoloration on the lids, it helps to even that out so your colors show true. If you have dry skin, you may not need to do this prep step. But for myself and my clients, unless they have extremely dry eyelids, I always prep. You can use what you want. I have the paint pots, and those seem to work well for me, but you can also use Urban Decay's primer potion. You can use Too Faced Shadow Insurance. Anything that will work for you. You do not have to use the products that I specify in this video. So we just put a little of that on, dabbing it on with the brush, and then using the finger to gently smooth it out so that we get a nice even coating on the lids here. I'll put this aside. Next, I'm going to take a flat shader brush. This is a small one. It's by Sonia Kashuk. And since this is going to be a smoky eye by request, I'm going to show that you can use other colors for smoky eye. Part of the tutorial, everyone always thinks smoky eye and black or dark gray. I want this to be a kind of natural looking smoky eye, so I'm going to use this color. This is a very old eyeshadow that I have that actually is discontinued. It's a bronze color, and I actually can't remember who this is by. but it goes with what I have on today, so this is what I'm going to use. Now, I'm just pressing my brush into the product, just like this, tapping off the excess. You want to make sure you tap off any excess shadow so you don't get fallout under the eyes. Now I'm going to start placing this by packing it onto my lid. And I know you see my mirror in the shot. I have a hard time using my monitor as my mirror when I do this because I'm very nearsighted. So rather than sit up really close to the monitor so I can see what I'm doing, I've got to use a mirror. You'll notice I am not sweeping this back and forth. Again, it's to help control the fallout. I'm just pressing this into the paint pot I already have on my lid. The paint pot is sticky, so my shadow is going to stick really well. You also notice that I am pressing this, when I start out, I'm pressing this close to my lash line, because in a smoky eye, the idea is that the color gradates or smokes up from the lashes. You've got the greatest concentration, darkest concentration of color at the lash line, and then the color smokes or fades as it goes up in the direction of the brow. So that's what I'm doing here. Now that the color is placed, and you notice I don't have it going all the way up to my crease, but now that the color is placed, I am going to switch brushes here and go to a blending brush. Now I've got two different blending brushes here. This one here, the one with the white handle, the tip is a little firmer. This one, the tip is a little softer, a little more flexible. I'm going to start out with the firm one here. And I'm just going to start blending my color up further onto the lid and towards the crease. Just very lightly sweeping back and forth at the top edge of my color, working it up. Just like so. Doesn't take too long to do. We're just working and blending that color up. Now, next, I'm going to wipe off my blending brush, and to further enhance the color, I'm going to use this color called Buck from my Urban Decay Naked palette. It's a matte brown, similar to my skin tone. I'm going to get some on the tip of my brush here, flick off the extra, and I'm going to actually sweep this into my crease as a further aid to blending out that color. Into the crease, if you can see this, I'm actually bringing this down to the contour area right by my nose. I'm really blending that in. Do the same with the other eye. I know, how long can you watch someone blend their crease? Sorry. I'm going to add just a little more of the first shadow I start with right here. Just softly blend that on. Next, I'm going to take my angled brush. This is the same one I used for my brows. I've just wiped it off on a white cloth, cleaned it. I'm going to enhance the lash line a little more here by using Black Matte Shadow by NYX. Remember I said a few minutes ago that you want the darkest and greatest concentration of color down near the lash line? Well, I'm going to overlay the bronze that I started with a little of the black here. And then I will blend that out. I'm just taking it, really pushing it into that lash line. And then I'm sweeping it up just a bit. Give a little more definition to the lash line. Making it just a bit darker. For smoky eyes, you really, whatever color you're using, you really want that lash line very, very dark. Doesn't mean that the whole lid needs to be black or this dark, but you really want a strong concentration of color at the lash line. That's what gives the smoky effect. A lot of people think smoky is a color, and it's really not. It's a technique, and there are many different ways to do a smoky eye. This is just one of them. Now, after I've gotten that color placed, we will go back with the flat shader brush, and we will soften that up just a tiny bit. Okay. Now, I have a really small brush here, really small detail brush. I'm going to take that and blend that color up just a tiny bit onto the lid. And so it blends in with that bronzy color I first used. I could have just as easily used a very dark brown or a navy blue. If I had another shade of bronze, which was deeper, I could have even used that to go on my lash line. But I chose black. You can choose what you will. Okay, now let me get a little closer so you can hopefully see that. Now, before I continue on with the rest of the eye, I'm going to go ahead and add my liner. This is an e.l.f. cream liner. Okay, it's in black, and I'm using this brush here. This actually is not a makeup brush. It's a very fine paint brush. It's called a spotter. Got this at one of the craft stores around here, but I use it for my eyeliner because it's very fine, and I can get a very nice line with this. We're going to go ahead and put our liner on our upper lash line. Start right here, not all the way in the corner, but just where my lashes start. I'm making as fine a line as I possibly can. right the way across the lid. Some of you, I'm sure, can do this in one long stroke. I find that I have more control if I do short overlapping strokes. I go back and I go right into the corner. Now, a note to those of you with smaller eyes. If you've got small eyes, I do not recommend that you take your liner all the way to the inner corner, either upper or lower. This will have a tendency to close your eyes off even more and make them look smaller. If you've got smaller eyes and you're going to line your upper lid, I would suggest that you stop your liner where your lashes stop. Don't go all the way into the corner. And as far as lining the lower lid is concerned, I would say stick to the outer third of your eye. Again, so that you do not close up your eyes even more. When you've got very small eyes, that's the last thing you want to do is close them up even more. You'll look like a chipmunk. No eyes at all. Now you'll notice at this point in time, I'm not winging my liner out at the outer corner. That is something you can certainly do, but there's a reason I'm not doing that just yet, and you'll see why here shortly. We've got our top liner on. We'll come back to liner later. I'm going to go ahead and clean off my brush here. And I'm now going to take a black pencil liner. This one is by Jordana. It's just a basic black. And what I'm going to do with this, I am going to very, very carefully line my upper waterline, my lower waterline, and my lower lash line. Now, the upper waterline takes a little bit of practice because you're actually almost directly against your eyeball as you do this, and it can be a little ticklish and a little annoying. It gives great effect though, so I would encourage you to practice this. What this is doing, you have liner on your upper lid right next to your lash line. You are now lining the waterline, which is underneath your lash line. And what this does is give the illusion of very thick, very dark roots to your lashes, which is very dramatic, and it helps with the smoky eye effect even more. I don't know if you can see this really good or not, but here's the eye where I have lined the lash line, the upper waterline. Here are the lashes where I haven't done that yet. I've just got the upper lash line done. And it might be a little difficult to see, but the eye that I've done with the upper waterline looks thicker and much more full than the eye that I haven't done yet. Once I get mascara on, the effect will even be more noticeable. Now I'm lining the lower waterline. And if you're not using a waterproof pencil, what you're going to need to do is go back and set this with a little powder eyeshadow so it doesn't budge. Now on the lower line, what I'm doing is after I've lined, I'm coming down here right on the lash line, on the outer portion of the eye. I'm lightly running this at the lash line, And then I'm continuing that line up just slightly from the lower waterline and the lower lash line, continuing it out at the corner for my little wing. And we'll get the other side. Again, upper waterline first. By the way, guys, make sure your pencil is safe to use on the waterline. I think most of us just take it for granted and use any liner on our waterline. Some of them are not formulated for such use. I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep the mirror out of the way so you can see. Okay. Now we're going to get some black eyeshadow and set that very quickly so it doesn't smudge and budge and go everywhere. Again, my small brush here, and I think, oh no, I can't do it without the mirror. Let's go ahead and do it with the mirror. Just run that powder right along the waterline to set. Here we go. Now, you can leave the eyes like this, or you can put a highlight under the brow. Let me go ahead and do a highlight. My highlight is going to be a matte color. I don't want a lot of shine up on the eyebrow area. So I think what I'm going to use here, go back to my Naked palette, and I'm going to use this color here. It's called Naked. It's another brown. It's lighter than Buck, and it's just a shade or two lighter than my skin tone. So I think it'll work well as a highlight. We're going to take, again, my small flat shader brush. I'm going to go ahead, press it into place right beneath the arch of my brow. And then I'm going to blend that in. Blend it right down into the color that I put into and just a little above my crease. You always want to make sure you're blending your colors one into the other so that there's no really hard line between one color and the next. They should just kind of bleed into each other. Now we add our mascara. I am using the Luminous Million Lashes today, and it's in black. And again, in keeping with our theme of all the color being concentrated at the lash line, you're going to want to put your applicator as close to the root of your lashes as possible. Wiggle back and forth a little which helps to deposit all of that color, or a great bit of that color, right again at the lash line. Remember, we want the color heavy and intense at the lash line and fading as we go up. Plenty of mascara. Lashes on the bottom. Make sure you tease out the corner lashes. Those tend to get a little lost here. Just wiggle away to get that deposit really heavy and thick at the base. Now, if you are going to be putting on false lashes, you may not need to use this much mascara. In fact, if you're going to put on false lashes, I would suggest you put the false lashes on first, stand back and check the effect, and then if you feel you need more, add your mascara then. But since I'm not going to do false lashes today, I'm going all out with the mascara. And now the eye is basically done. We can go ahead with the rest of our makeup. If you're going to be wearing dramatic eyes like this, now mind you, mine are more neutral tones. And of course, you can use any color you want, but if you're going to go with a really dramatic eye like this, you want to go light with the rest of your makeup. So on my cheeks, what I'm using, this is a mineralized skin finish called Sun Power. It is by MAC. This is going to go on my cheeks kind of as a highlighter. Let's see, I think I can use the camera now. Almost like a bronzer. Just gives kind of a natural glow. Right there, just on the cheekbone. To add just a tiny, tiny bit of color, not a whole lot, I'm going to use this blush by Black Radiance. It's called Plum Sorbet. Very heavily pigmented for a drugstore brand, so I mean just a touch. In fact, that touch is too much, just a touch. And again, on the cheekbone, upper cheekbone. For a little bit of shimmer, particularly if you are going out for the evening, I'm going to use just a little bit of gold deposit. This is another product by MAC, Naturalized Skin Finish. Got a little shimmer to it. Wonderful, wonderful highlighter. Again, very, very little, just on the very tops of the cheeks. Hopefully the camera is picking up that little bit of a glow that it's giving. You can see it right there. big fluffy brush next, and a little bit of Ben Nye banana powder. Favorite powder of all time. Before I apply the powder, we're going to do that trick again with the tissue, just to take off any oil that might have accumulated. Oily girls, you know where you're oily. Usually the forehead, center of the forehead, the nose, tops of the cheeks. Just blot it off. Get a little powder onto our brush here. Tap off the excess. And then press it in. Just the areas where you need it. And then flick your brush off. Go through, brush off the excess. And blend it in. Not too much pressure. You don't want to disturb what you've already put on. You don't want to wipe it off. You just want to dust where you need it. Now for my lips. What I'm going to do, I've had lip balm on all this time, so my lips are nice and moisturized. We can blot the excess off. Particularly with cold weather here now, you all should be moisturizing your lips. Okay, taking a lip pencil by Jordana. I love this color. This is called Cabaret. I use it a lot. I'm lining and filling in my lip. A really pretty burgundy color. Then I'm going to top that with a lipstick from MAC called Fresh Brew. It's a dark beige tan sheer. It's a neutral. But I absolutely love this color over this lip pencil. It turns the pencil a little more mauve-y, a little muted. And I love it, especially with a neutral eye or a really dramatic eye. But here is your smoky eye and the finished makeup look. Again, I would suggest if you're going to do more dramatic on the eyes, you keep the rest of the makeup rather neutral so that you don't have so many things competing one with the other. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's a little long, and to those of you who have been waiting for something new from me, I really appreciate you sticking around. You know, sometimes things are what they are and you just can't get everything done that you would like to do. To those of you that are new subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. I hope this is something that was helpful to you, and you all have a great new year. I'll be back soon. Blessings to all of you. Bye-bye.